niin, tervetuloa. Welcome. I started in Finnish, sorry. I'm a bit tired at this time of the day. It's 5 o'clock here in Finland. Hopefully we got crowd from around the world. Let's get started. Today we're gonna go through key user functions in Seidat and let's jump right into it. Let me just move my picture just a bit out of the way. Today's webinar will last approximately around 1 hour, and we're, like I said, gonna go through key user functions of Seidat. First off, we're gonna go through team and user management in your team, and then we're gonna go and continue to management of the image bank, brand settings and smart slides, so you're gonna get familiar with all those features, and then we're gonna look smart ways you can manage your team's presentation, whether you have a team of 1 person or you're managing a team of 100. These topics that we're gonna touch today are all relevant to different kind of teams. And the idea behind is that we're gonna go through the main best practices of each category. And at the end, we have a few minutes for questions. You can post questions during the webinar as well. So feel free to post them, and we're gonna answer them either instantly or at the end of the webinar. And let's get familiar who I am. So here you can see a short description of me. I don't need to go that much in depth on that, but feel free to contact me if you have any Seidat related questions. The easiest way to get in touch with us is through the chat on our app or on our website. So whatever questions have come after that webinar or this webinar, feel free to get in touch. Okay, few noteworthy things about the webinar is that this is the second training webinar that we keep in English, or we held in English. The first one was about the editing, presenting and sharing of presentations, and the capture is on YouTube, so you can find that if that's what you also want to see. You can, like I said, you can ask questions during the webinar in the chat, and we'll try to answer them directly, or if it's not about that topic that we're going through at the moment, we're gonna continue to the questions at the later stage. Feel free to test out what I will teach you instantly in your team. I myself like to learn in a way that I try and test and fail, so go ahead and do that in your team. Or if you're more of a learner that likes to just watch and listen, that's perfectly fine as well. And I'm sure both methods are okay. After the webinar, we're gonna send a short survey about the webinar itself. We're gonna ask a few questions which you can answer and give us valuable feedback where we can improve the webinars of the future, which in return are gonna give you better content in the future. So please answer the survey if you have time. It's gonna be sent to you either in Seidat or in email. And if you answer the survey, you can find a link to this material at the end of the survey. So that's a nice little bonus to actually answer a few of the questions. The survey will only take a few minutes to answer, so it's not a big task to do. But thanks in advance of whoever answers that. Okay, the first thing, quick introduction to Seidat. These are relevant topics for today. Like I said last time, we went through these 3 topics more in depth: creating presentations, what are the best practices in that, how to actually present, and how to share. And based on a different situation, presenting might be online or face-to-face, and sharing might be during the meeting or after the meeting. You can share your presentations. But today, like mentioned, we're going to go through management of the team and management of the presentations, and then quickly go through analytics at the end. This is more of the main user, key user functions that we're going to touch today. But the whole idea of Seidat is to encapsulate all these different stages of the presentation life cycle, whether it is to create the first presentation or manage a different sized teams in different fields, and then analyzing on base of that. One app is enough for our presenting needs, and what we mean by this is that you can use these same presentations in face-to-face meetings, online meetings, and also you can embed them on your website and share them on social media if that's what you do in your company. That's maybe more of a marketing side, but few of you might find that useful. Then quick mention, this is more of the editing side of Seidat, but no matter in what business you are, most likely you've noticed that videos and websites are a good tool to embed in Seidat presentations if you created those. And videos in general are really a growing type of media, where in the previous it was the pictures that revolutionized the presentations, but nowadays we see more and more videos and other content as well. So it's good to use in Seidat. It's easy to add. And then another common thing for every Seidat user is that you can rely on the one presentation for every device. It doesn't matter that much if you present to a phone or if you're in a movie theater pitching your idea or anything in between. You can use the same presentation, and when you communicate to your team, it's one good thing to keep in mind that necessarily they or the receiver of the presentation, usually a customer, don't need to be on a laptop or computer. They can view it on their phone as well, or present from their phone. So that's one thing. And then another kind of off topic to today's discussion is an overview. This is a view where you can see the whole presentation, but again, this is relevant in a way that when you are telling your team that, hey, we got this new tool, this is the view that we recommend to everyone to use. This is what I have on the second screen now. I can glance at the second screen and see where I'm going in this presentation, and then hop on to any slide from any slide pretty much, and I can see my notes and everything, and you can only see the end page. That's one thing. And then this is also a bit off topic but relevant in some ways, that this is the life cycle of Seidat with sales process usually. And when you start to create your presentations, if you haven't created a lot of presentations already, it's a good thing to keep in mind of what stage the customer is in currently, or the potential customer, or your colleague, or whoever you're using the presentations. But this is in sales, that you might want to quickly introduce your company at the start before you even meet the customer. Then using a sales deck when you actually meet the customer, whether it's face-to-face or remotely. And then usually in our process, we send few selected slides at the end of the presentation if the customer asks, and then they can present to their colleagues or their boss on the product. So they can use your material on that. And then at the end, usually it's some sort of offer that you use, and you will go through that with the customer. Quick introduction to Seidat, and maybe you learned something new. But let's jump into the actual topic of today. Let's start with what is the smart way to manage your users, and let's continue to smart ways to manage your presentations. That's combined effort from team management and the users itself, but today we're going to go to the team management side of it. First of all, I think the most important aspect of organizing your team to function in Seidat in a smart manner is to have smart user management in your team. And what I mean by this is that you can have a different user levels on your users. You can have a team of 3 or team of 300, and depending on what user access levels you give to each user, you will significantly make your life either easier or you can make it a bit harder. If we go quickly through what each of these user levels are and what rights come with those. If we start from the bottom, the first user level is no rights that you can give to a user. Usually, not many users in any team are with no rights use level, but in some instances it might come handy that you might want to add someone with a no rights. These are people who will take one seat from the team, so keep that in mind. Some people ask, like, okay, we have no rights users, are they gonna be people who take up seats? Yes, they are. And what it means to have no rights is that in a nutshell, usually when you come to say that you can see every presentation, and if you're an editor, you can edit every presentation that is not hidden from you, for example. No rights flips that in another direction, and it will mean that when you add a user, they cannot do anything. They cannot see the image bank, they cannot see other users or presentations. But you can give to these persons and users access to specific presentations. These might be presentations for someone outside your company or someone inside your company that doesn't need to see every presentation. So that's one user level. Everything above is like the normal user levels where you will see or be able to edit the presentations that are not restricted from you. The least rights you can have after no rights is a viewer. These persons can see every presentation and they can present, usually face to face. They cannot create any links. They cannot access the current links of the presentation, so these are mostly if you're presenting face to face. Then the most common user level in a team currently is a sharer, and these persons can create links to presentations and they can also present face to face. But as a default, these users cannot edit any presentations, but we will go in a bit later on how we can give any of these share, viewer, and no rights users access to editing. Then the first content management user level, which is divided in the plans as a content managers, and then you have total users. The first content management right is editor. These persons can edit every presentation except smart slides inside the presentations. Smart slide editor can edit those, and then brand management can set text styles and the color palette inside your team. So these persons are usually the ones who will take care of the brand settings in your team and in your company in a wider sense. Then on the admin side, you have admin and owner. Admin can add, remove people and give them different access levels. And then owner has a specific function on the main dashboard, which is to remove. It's to see every presentation, even the hidden ones. And I will show you in a bit how you can hide presentations from your colleagues in your team. And the owner has a right to claim back any hidden presentations. So in a case someone accidentally or in any other way hides a presentation, the owner can claim it back to the team or to themselves. The best practices in user management are mentioned here, and usually I would recommend in a new user situation to give a sharer right to the user. And this is because when you add a new user, they might not be experienced with Seidat, and you, in rare cases, you need them to be able to edit every presentation. Sharers are people who can edit some presentations, and I'll explain that in a bit. When a user is more experienced in using Seidat or really needs higher access levels, you can give them editor rights or smart slide editor rights. Smart slide editors can edit all the combined pages or the slides, so keep that in mind that it's a powerful feature to have, and if you don't grasp what it means, then you can run into a bit of a trouble. Yeah, you can give editor rights to sharers, and it will allow them to edit their own presentations. And then on the admin and owner side, like I mentioned, the owners can see the hidden presentations, and admins can invite, remove, and manage user levels on the team level, except from the owners. The owners are usually the highest level users in the team. Okay, here is a screenshot of the presentation access level menu, which you can access when you're in the dashboard of Seidat. So whenever you press the home button here or the presentation tab here, you can see all the presentations behind this menu, and whatever presentation you want to restrict, you can just press this button here with the 2-person icon. And as a default, the max team access is editing, and what it means is that everyone in the team with an editing right can edit the presentation. If you're a sharer, you can share. If you're a viewer, you can view. And then if you want to restrict that for everyone, just press the ellipsis here and choose sharing, viewing, or no access hidden. And this means that it will hide it from everyone except these people who are then added here. And you can also, without touching this, leaving it as editing, you can add users to edit the presentation. So if you have those sharer users in your team, you can just add them as an editor to any specific presentation, and it will allow them to edit the presentation from then there onwards. So from user tab here, you can set company-wide or team-wide user access levels to every user, and then presentation access level from presentation to presentation. When you copy a presentation or create a new one, you will be able to select the presentation access level from there, from the dialog that opens up. Then one thing about presentation management is it's quite simple, but it's very effective if you do it right. It's the naming of the presentation, and why this matters is, first of all, of course, you can easily find the presentation. If you name it in a way that you might have it a company name or the customer name or the year or the user, there are multiple ways of doing this. It will help you to find it, but more importantly, it will help you with the analytics. If the presentation is just sales presentation and 100 persons use it, then it might be fine if you're only using one. But if you're using multiple, you might have every salesperson might have their own presentation. Then it's good to name it with the salesperson, and then you can see if that salesperson's or this salesperson's presentation have been viewed or not. Please keep in mind that the presentation names are visible to the viewers also, so don't fool around too much with those names. So they might not be visible at first, but if you as a viewer press from Seidat logo here, you will see the presentation name and the slide name on top as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Then also, what is probably one of the most powerful features in the finding of the presentations and keeping your team tidy is tags. And tags have been updated maybe half a year ago, and if you haven't used them already, please start to use them, since they're quite easy to use and will only require you to set it up once. Tags will allow, you can create any sort of tags. These are example tags that we have here. You can create any type of tags. We recommend having names of the staff if you have a small enough people or employment base. We have a roughly 10-15 names on the tag list, and that's manageable. But if you have 300 salespersons, then you might need to do it in a different way, maybe having a team name. Then use cases, company presentation, sales presentation, offers, whatever are a good way, and then languages. So if you, in any case, you might have if I search for a presentation, I select my name tag, Joona, and then if I go to have a training with a customer, I select the training tag, and if the training isn't finished, then I'll select the Finnish tags. And what is left after selecting all those tags by pressing from here, or from here if I have it pinned, I will only see the few presentations that actually I am interested in. Even though there might be hundreds and hundreds of presentations, it will narrow down the presentation that are visible on the dashboard. You can pin tags, and this is by user, so anybody can select those tags that they actually use and have them hidden, the ones that they don't need. Okay, any questions so far about team management and presentation management? There's not that much into it. I think if you just have the user management done right, that's half the battle. And if in any case you need to manage the user levels in a more narrow field, then use the presentation access levels. If you need to hide a presentation, for example, then it's easy to do. Okay. Feel free to post any questions. I will continue if any other questions don't arise. Then let's look at Smart Slide and Smart Slide Bank more in depth. And I think this is one of the best features in Seidat. I say this a lot, but this is the one that will save you the most amount of time. If you aren't using Smart Slides yet, or you only have few, I highly recommend you to start using them more and more, since any presentation you might copy, if you're utilizing the Smart Slides, it's gonna make your life so much easier. Yeah, let's jump into those. In Seidat you have the Smart Slide Bank, which you can see from the top. It's the second tab after the presentations or the dashboard. And in here you can see all your team's Smart Slides. And if you're a Smart Slide editor, that means that you can edit all these pages from here. Or if you're editing the presentation where they are used, you can edit them from there as well. And what you can do in the Smart Slide Bank is that you can copy, delete, merge, create new ones, and do all those. But I think the most functional stuff in here to do is to see the whole Smart Slide collection you have in the team. So if you're changing your brand look and feel, then this is the easiest place to see them all, how the pages are, and edit from here. Let's look at the features. features here. Let's skip that page. First of all, you can edit from the Smart Slide bank, and if you're an editor in the Smart Slide bank, you can click by I cannot talk anymore. You can click Edit Smart Slide to actually get to the editing of the page. If you're trying to edit them from the presentation, then you will be given another button here, which is to convert to normal slide. And what this means is that if you're using the page only on that presentation and you want to edit it only for that specific use, then click convert to normal slide. But if you want to edit for every presentation in the team that uses the same slide, click the Edit Smart Slide. Then in the Smart Slide bank, you can also, this is in the presentation. This requires Smart Slide editor rights to make Smart Slides, but anyone can detach the Smart Slides. It's what I prescribed in the last page, is convert to normal slide. It's the same as detaching the Smart Slide. But yeah, in the Smart Slide bank, you can merge 2 or more pages to be one in the future. And why you would want to do this, if you have few pages where you have the similar kind of content, like in this screenshot here, you have 2 Bondi Beach pages, you can combine them into one, and then you have less stuff to manage in the later stage of use. And in some cases you might want to combine pages where the content is different. For example, if you have a case story which the customer is not your customer anymore, you might want to create a new case story on a different page, and when the new page is done, then you can just combine the pages into one, and then the new page will take care of not showing the outdated stuff on the page. All right. Then in the Smart Slide bank, you can also see where the Smart Slides have been used by clicking. Of course, this is a screenshot, but if this would be the live, you can click by used in X amount of presentation, and you will see the list of all the presentations. You will also see if the slide is used in some presentations that are hidden from you, but you cannot see the names of the presentations from here either. Few questions that we get asked quite often about Smart Slide is that what happens if you remove a Smart Slide from a presentation. So if you're editing a presentation and you remove the slide or you detach the slide, it will stay in a team. It will stay in the other presentations where it's used, but it will only remove the link from that specific presentation to the rest. Another question is that what happens if you remove a Smart Slide from the Smart Slide bank? It will also remove all the links to the different presentations. Let's say your Smart Slide is used in 5 presentations. It will remain in each of those 5 presentations the page itself, but they won't be linked to one another. So if you edit one, it won't affect to the rest. And third question, how should you name the slides? I think here again, naming them accurately is the way to go. What we usually recommend here at Seidat and in our team, we've tried to name all the slides in English. No matter if they're used in Finnish or other languages, the slide title is always in English. And then we add a name. After the name, we add FI or EN or whatever the language we use. We add the 2-letter shortened version of the language. So if we need to find all the Finnish slides, we can just search by FI and it will reveal all the pages in our team that are Finnish. So name them correctly and it will help you to find them also when you add pages from a Smart Slide bank. to any presentation to have them in a logical way. It will make your life, again, a bit easier. Okay, any questions about smart slides, or is this all loud and clear? Again, post them from the chat if you have any. Let's quickly go through Image Bank. It's quite simple tool that we have in Seidat. You can upload any amount of images to your image bank, and they will be available to use to everyone in your team. Only editors and upwards from there can actually upload images. Sharers can use them in a presentations, but they cannot upload any images to the image bank. And sometimes we get asked like, hey, can I have a image from my computer and not upload it to the image bank? And the answer is no, since we're using a web application, which you can view the presentations from anywhere from the world. If it's on your computer, then the image wouldn't show in most cases. But yeah, few things. Uploading images is quite simple. You can drag and drop from your computer. So if you have them on a folder, you can just drag and drop them to here, or clicking upload first and opening the dialog here. You can upload them from your device by selecting them. Few cool features that if you're using Google Drive or Google Photos, for example, or Dropbox, OneDrive Business, or if you want to connect your Facebook and Instagram, you can quite easily do that, and then you can easily import without ever having the images on your computer, so you can use those. Facebook and Instagram, be wary that they will compress the images quite a lot. So if you want to use the Instagram photos as your background, it might not be the best solution, but one thing you can of course do. Then another really good feature, if you ever have a bigger update of your brand, for example, if you get a new logo or some image you've been using on a multiple presentations might not be something you want to use in the future, you can merge few images into one. And what this means, like in the smart slides, you will select one or two or more images, and you will select which one to keep, and it will replace all the other images that you have selected. So in this case, if you want to only use the black logo from now on, you could replace the white ones that are used on every page, and it's only a few clicks. Of course, in this case, it wouldn't be that smart thing to do, since there are different colors and they might not be visible on the page actually. But if you have two black versions, new shape and the old shape, it will work much better. These mergings are final, so if you merge two pictures, there's no way of going back, so please keep that in mind. But this is a powerful feature if you have a new logo at some point, for example, and you want to update that with few clicks to every page you've used that logo in. But that's pretty much from Image Bank. As a general rule, I would say also that if we go to the last page, try to keep the folders tidy. We recommend using, again, descriptive folder names, not using personal folder names like Joona, and then I would have few subfolders underneath there where I could have my photos, but then no one else would be able to find them if they actually need them in their use. But yeah, quite basic stuff, the Image Bank, I would say. Then brand management is something that is something you need to do once usually, but managing the brand in a smart way is a good way to have everyone using the brand settings in a way you want. There's few things you can do in the team. You can set the colors of the theme. So if your brand colors are this and that, you can set them in here. These colors can be used in the shapes and in the text styles that you can create from here. So if you have few colors, make sure to add them here, and then you can add any styles. We actually included a few other settings you can do here. We need to update this screenshot, but yeah, just set the text styles here. If you at some point need to update the text styles, let's say you have used Ubuntu for the header and you want to use Open Sans in the future, it's quite easy. You can create a new text style and test the headers with Open Sans. If you're happy with the way it's looking, then you can just replace the settings from here, and it will automatically update to every page where this header has been used. So you can of course, without testing it, just change those, but it's good to test first and then see if it looks correct, and then going from there. But the brand settings is quite simple to do. You need to do it once, and then they're usually good to go. If a user who's editing the page requires some new fonts, they have to go through someone with brand management access, and they have to add the text styles here. So all those other users, they cannot edit those styles on themselves. Okie dokie. Oops, this is in Finnish. Embarrassing. Theme settings. This is theme settings in English. There's not much things you can do on the tab theme settings, which is located on the top. One thing you can do is to add your Google Analytics tracking ID. And here is a quick screenshot of why would you want to do it. And as soon as you add your Google Analytics tracking ID, you will automatically track all your presentation use with that tracking ID. And salespersons, for example, might want to be interested in checking how their presentations have been viewed by what category of people, if it's female, male, what browser they use, where they're from, what device they use, for example, depending on what business you are in, but that might be useful information. But you can use Google Analytics to check the stuff. You can go from behavior to site content to all pages, and then you can select if you want to view by page or page title. In this screenshot we're using page title, and then you can add the names of the presentations. Like if you're using myyntiesitys, which means sales presentations in English, you can select, or you can search all the sales presentations just by typing this here. If you're using names inside the presentations, like in this case, Nora is having this presentation used, you can search by typing in Nora. If you use page as a primary dimension, you can use the actual link that you shared with a customer. So in an example like this presentations would be visible here, but you would not know how many people or if that specific person has opened it or not. You will just see the whole use of that presentations. But if you have created a Seidat link to this presentation, you can search by choosing the page and pasting the link here. You can search how that link has been opened. Even though Google Analytics doesn't tell you person who is using that presentation, but if you only share that to a specific person, then it's quite clear if they have used it or not. This is a very good feature in offers. For example, you can share an offer, and when the customer opens it, you can see it from the Google Analytics. We have actually created much nicer way though to view the data. Hopefully my internet with all the streaming and everything going on will actually load this in time. But this data dashboard that we created for our personal team use is done to Google Data Studio, which is a free tool if you're using the Google products anyway. You can set up different data sources to Google Data Studio. So if you're into data collecting and gathering, make sure to check it out if you haven't already. But you can search different criteria. You can search with Seidat user, for example, or a presentation name. We've encountered a problem. Let's not focus on that, but everything else works here. So if you want to see some presentation, for example, from this, you can search. You can search by presentation name, or you can select a user, for example, and see how their presentations have been viewed. This sort of data studio is much more user friendly than having everyone using the Google Analytics for their use. You can create any sort of data studio, or if you would like to have one that works this way, please contact us and we can make it for you. But yeah, any questions about analytics or anything else? Because this is everything I got. In recapture of what we discussed today, team management and presentation management is at the end, it's quite simple. It usually requires you to set anything up in once, and then just fine-tuning the settings you've done later. Make sure to keep an eye out on the users. That's the best way to manage the team in a wider sense, and then setting those different settings will make your users in your team, it will make their life much easier. So if you have any questions of how to set up everything, please feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer them now. Or if you want to email me or anyone in our team a bit later, that's fine as well. One thing I want to mention is that we have a quite new support site, few weeks old. All the articles have been gone through and updated to this day and age. So if you're searching for anything, you can head out to support.seidat.com. It will include everything you might want to know about Seidat. You can also head from the question mark to the support site from here. So anything you are struggling with, you will most likely find the answer from there, or just sending us a chat is also fine. Here's a few of our clients I wanted to show while waiting for questions, and we actually got one question. The question is, how can you get, or where you can get Finnish manuals to Seidat use, or do you have trainings in Seidat also? It's also in the support site. We have a short section of the Finnish articles here. If you scroll down to the bottom, you have few quite tightly packed articles here about the main use of Seidat, and all the more relevant stuff, or in a bigger scale, are in English, since we're prioritizing to the English articles at the moment. And we have trainings coming in Finnish. Usually we have these user webinars once a month, and next month is in Finnish, and then another one in English, and so on and so on. And of course we have customer training sessions as well. If you want to have a private training, you can contact and ask about the details a bit later. Yeah, any other questions so far? If you're using Seidat and you don't see your company's logo here, you can ask if we have room, or if we can create a few more boxes and showcase who are using Seidat at the moment. We're proud to showcase most of our clients. So if you want to show your logo here, feel free to contact me a bit later. But if you don't have any other questions, we're a bit ahead of schedule. We still have 15 minutes, so I have more time to answer questions. But if not, thanks for joining. Hopefully you learned something new about the use of Seidat, and hopefully you will go now and check that your settings in the team and brand management and so on are set in a smart way that will help your team to use Seidat in a more efficient way. Okay, talking for 45 minutes in English it's gonna get my tongue twisted. So thank you for your time. See you in 2 months if you want to join another webinar. We will post info about that a bit later. Or if you're a Finnish user, you can join to the next webinar, which is released a bit later. That is in roughly a month. Okay. Thank you all. See you. Okay, no worries. We got a thank you from the answering the question. Okay, but thank you. Have a good Tuesday afternoon or evening or whatever you are. See you.